so much. Thank you. Anybody from whose speakers would like to add? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to follow up on Elizabeth's comment and say how important the work that WeConnect has done in connecting the corporates, the multinationals, and the women vendors. And in my previous life, I managed the World Bank President's Global Private Sector Leaders Forum to promote women's economic empowerment. And as a result of the work that WeConnect did, there was a commitment by the members to spend $1 billion in goods and services made by or sourced from women-owned businesses. And that also helped us at the World Bank to change our policy, because we were not actually counting or differentiating women-owned businesses. And at the time, we could only work out that $100,000 of the enormous budget of the World Bank was being spent on identified women-owned businesses. So that whole impetus to organize and then to commit and to follow up on those commitments is really, really critical. So I wanted to salute Elizabeth and Meg for the brilliant work that they have done in the global platform for action on sourcing for women. So from that small pilot we did at the World Bank with the commitment to $1 billion, you've now taken it to a whole nother level where you've got something like over 40 companies signed up. So all power to you. I can see this really having a huge snowball effect and being incredibly important as a global movement. So congratulations.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ellis. And please start.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth, for your comment, which maybe doesn't even deserve an answer because you answered it yourself. But one of the things we are doing now as UN Women is to actually have an MOU, draft an MOU with ITC, because a lot of the work we are doing at country level, as I mentioned in my presentation, presents an opportunity for linking those women we are already working with, whose products are maybe some of them not that ready for the global market, but at least they can compete very well. On the global market, and how we can work with ITC to actually move them to that higher level through that MOU. So we are in the process of negotiating that MOU, and hopefully to address the issue you raised.
Thank you very much, and I think that I would like to hear your last from Patricia. How would you think about being the ITCs, being the catalyst of all of this endeavor here?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I think, we're talking about kudos today, and the kudos actually goes to your Minister of Gender, where all of this started, because she challenged me before I even became, I was executive director-elect. And she asked me, well, where is ITC's gender program? And I looked around at the team around me, and I was asking, well, we came out with something like what the World Bank had at that point in time, about $100,000 program, or maybe a little bit more than that, but ask about the impact, you couldn't see it. So out of that, that challenge, we decided to go forward and create something, which is, and I hired Meg, because of course I'd met Meg at one of these gender functions, and I couldn't have found anybody more enthusiastic to pull the whole thing together. So what you said, Elizabeth, is absolutely right, because having listened to our colleague from UN Women, I went and got our program on ethical fashion, which is probably building on some of the women that they have worked with, because we are not an NGO. We can't be an NGO. We're about business. But when we're talking about women at the grassroots level, unless some NGO has actually done some work to organize these women and get them thinking in a particular direction, then we don't have an opportunity to move forward. So I think that there is a value chain, as you speak, about how can you become inclusive? How can you promote inclusiveness? And there are steps and stages in how that's done. And it's really a relay. And I think that if we can identify this value chain, which involves everybody around the room, then, you know, we know when we hand over one to the next, to the next, to the next. But I think it's about setting objectives, understanding, putting the right kind of resources behind it, following through and evaluating what we're doing, making sure that we're taking stock, being very transparent about what we're doing, and giving value for money at the end of the day. Because yes, we will make some mistakes, and yes, some of the projects will fail. But for those that actually are able to scale up and do well, and that can be replicated, I think there's a huge opportunity. And it does require layers and layers of work. If we're going to move from informal to formal to, you know, the next level, so that the 700 billion that you're talking about, Elizabeth, that if we can even get 1% of that, then, you know, we're talking money, and we're talking opportunity. And therefore, we are looking for these kinds of partnerships. But we want to be very focused in what we do, because we know we can't be all things to all people. And if we don't remain focused, then we will lose the game. And so we have a committed team. We are looking for those kinds of partnerships, which is why we have who we have sitting around the table today. And each one brings something important to the table. And it's with that kind of real partnership to achieve a particular objective. Because I think if our egos get in the way, then we won't get very far. And I'm hoping that as a group of women, we won't let our egos get in the way, and we won't lose sight of what the objective is, because we know the numbers, and we understand the impact that can be accomplished if we really do achieve what we have set out to do. So I thank everybody for being here today and spending the time, and please give my very best regards to Minister Pavey, because she lit a fire, and I'm not sure if she understood that it was going to be a forest fire. So we're really looking forward to working with everyone around the table, and whomever else you can bring to the table, because this is something which is important and which we believe can deliver. Thank you.
Thank you for your very important advice, and I think that this would conclude the meetings. And before we do that, I would like to acknowledge the speakers, and please give a big round of applause to them all.
And ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause to our moderator, please. Thank you, Your Excellency. And an announcement. We have a photograph. The group photograph will be taken downstairs now in the courtyard, after which we will have our cocktail followed by dinner. Once again, thank you all very much for participating, and see you downstairs for the group photograph. We're going now. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We make a quick announcement too that I would want to take advantage of, because we've been talking about issues that are very critical. Tomorrow at 6 p.m., we will have a conversation on women in cross-border trade, driving African economies. And it's going to be a joint event between UN Women and UNCTAD, chaired by the Executive Director of UNCTAD and our Executive Director of UN Women. And we will share some of the exciting experiences of the work we've been doing, which has been mentioned by Florence. It's happening at 6 o'clock, followed by a cocktail, and it's happening at the Topkapi A at the Lufti Keda Convention and Exhibition Center. So I invite all of you to come to that event. It's exciting. We will have ministers from Rwanda, Liberia, and Bhutan sharing their experiences on this issue. Thank you very much. And you also get a copy of these, which give you the story about women in cross-border trade.